I think I just have one more question.
Sure.
It would be, so you mentioned earlier several skills that you learned, like rhetorical skills that you learned in your major that you've carried over here. You've also mentioned a lot of tools that you use here that I presume weren't really a part of the curriculum. For someone graduating from a writing program and wanting to enter into a tech writing role, what would you like to see changed or added to the curriculum? Or what would be most helpful within the curriculum to prepare you for where you are now?
Yeah, that's a tricky question because I'm a little biased in that I'm a tech writer, and I would like to see a lot of really hard skills, like things like programming experience and web programming experience, web design, things along those lines. But I know that could be specific to tech writing. If someone were going into a publishing job, or maybe doing a little bit more government writing or something like that, they might not be doing as high tech. They're not working in as high of a technology environment. But that said, I do think a lot of those skills are really useful in general. And in particular, the web stuff for writers. That's where the writing is now. Writing is on the web. Unless you're gonna go work for a newspaper, even then, all of the content ends up online anyway. But it would be very difficult to find a writing job that didn't involve writing for the web, I think. And so I think, HTML skills, CSS skills, I don't think you need really extensive Java or JavaScript skills, but even that could be really helpful. For a tech writing position in particular, I think XML could be a good, really good skill to learn. I think a lot of tech companies and a lot of companies in general that need documentation, which is most companies, are moving to systems like DITA, where it's built on an XML infrastructure, and having at least an understanding of XML. I don't think anybody needs to be able to hard code text XML on its own, because even now I don't really know how to do that. But having an understanding of how XML works and what it's for would be a good skill as well. So almost like if there were a course designed around writing related technologies or something like that, and just getting those foundations and getting a little bit of exposure to different programming languages or different just tools, I guess, that are very common in the writing industry these days.
This is actually the last question, I promise.
Sure, no problem. There can be more if you have any others.
So the gap between your academic experience or academic knowledge, right, and the knowledge required for you here, that gap exists.
Yeah.
How did you bridge that gap of knowledge?
So at NI in particular, we have a really good training program, and so I had a lot of the technical interest. I tinkered with motherboards and computers and things like that, just because I was interested in it. I was a little bit of a nerd, and so that helped. But at the same time, I didn't have any of the hard skills. I didn't know anything about programming. I had some HTML and CSS experience a little bit, but really it came down to just digging into the product that I was assigned to, getting as familiar with it as I could on my own, and then whenever I had questions, I know that I had people here to help me. But I also went through formal training on the job. I took the company actually offers product classes for our customers, and so I got to sit in on one of those and take the actual official class alongside some of the users, which was really cool because I got to see what the users were doing with the product and the types of questions that they had, and so that helped me a lot. But really, almost the first month is devoted to bringing you up to speed and teaching you everything you need to know. I think the most important thing is that you have the writing skills, because it's easy for us to teach you the technology, assuming that you aren't afraid to dig into the technology. It's much harder to teach someone to write. So that's the angle that we come at it with. We want people who have really good writing skills, and we'll teach you all the tech you need to know.
Yeah, you can. The tech is much easier to teach than the the writing. I think that covers like absolutely everything that I could have ever wanted. I'm gonna. Is there anything I should?
Let's see. I will say, so there's one thing about the curriculum. You were asking me like things that translated well. It did cross my mind that there were some things that I just didn't apply at all, that I learned in school. And so some of those things, I found that a lot of the theory classes didn't really translate very well into actual practical work, professional work. I think that they're good educational courses. If you're going to like a law school or something like that, it might be helpful. But in a real writing job, learning about all of the rhetoricians of the past and all of that, it didn't seem super applicable to me.
Yeah, but I agree with that. I still don't see them going anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there anything else you'd like to?
Related to technology. Let's see. I will say, and I don't know how applicable this is to your research, but one thing that's interesting about advancing technologies in the workplace is that there's a period that I think we're currently in here at NI where you're spending so much time learning the new technology and getting accustomed to it and figuring out the right processes that it actually does impede the amount of content that you get to create, and it does make it a little bit harder to spend time focused on the content because you're troubleshooting a lot more and you're figuring things out and making mistakes and then fixing your mistakes and things like that. But I think once you get past that hump, it becomes a lot more efficient, and the new technology does in fact improve your efficiency, improve your productivity. Because in theory, like I said, single sourcing should save us a lot of time. Part of the issue is that first you have to get the content there to be able to single source it, and then once that content is there and you've got your core content, you can reuse that as much as you want, and spend some more time doing maybe some interactive stuff or more of the guided help type things. So it's just a tidbit of information. There's that hump that you have to get over when adopting a new technology, but after that, in theory, it should get a lot better.
Yeah, it's not as efficient at first, but it's once you become skilled in it.
Right, exactly. Because it was very weird having such a major change, because the tools are very different from what we were doing before. It was almost like I was here for 2 years and then I had to start over as a new writer, because I was spending all this time learning everything from scratch, basically. I mean, I still had like the foundational stuff, like the theory and the style, and you know, our writing tendencies were still there, but even a lot of our writing strategies changed, and it wasn't just the tools, it was the way that we approached the writing too. It was a very major shift, so it was almost like starting over.
Yeah.
But now we're getting to a place where we're all getting really comfortable with it, and we're able to spend more time writing content. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's like kind of a daunting shift, right? Because it's going to take a while to adapt, but then it's worth it.
Yeah, it's tough to make that decision because you get so used to what you're doing and so comfortable with what you're doing, and you get really efficient with that. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, the tools that you're using just don't meet your needs anymore, and you have to move up to something different. Yeah. You have to advance your technology, or you're going to be stuck in the CHMs. You know, you're going to be stuck in the stuff that looks like it was written in the 90s or created in the 90s.
What does that stand for, CHM?
Compressed Help Manual, I think.
That makes sense.
It's a CHM, it's the file type for that thing that you've seen in like Microsoft Word.
I know, I have it in my head.
Yeah.
It's just like the branches.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a disaster. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. For sure for doing this with me.
No problem. If you have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to email back and forth if you want, whatever.
Yeah.